Campus Culture. I'm Lamont Holden, professor of technology and music here at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. These are conversations that matter for the culture on campus here at UIUC and campuses around the world. And I'm excited to announce our new co-host from Campus Culture, Aniyha Jones.
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited for everybody tuning in. I'm Aniyha once again. I'm a junior here at U of I, majoring in marketing, also a podcaster, and I'm just really excited to be on with you.
And I'm so glad to see you because I was just ready to pod, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we were working on a format where it's like we had a guest or whatever,
right,
which is cool because I knew I was never going to sit here and just talk to myself, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, when you ready to pod, you got to wait for somebody's schedule. We waiting on the engineer, we waiting on the videographer, and I was just ready to roll. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you for joining us.
I'm happy. I'm excited, man.
And you made it through the snow last week, too?
Yes, the snow.
I
was happy.
You was happy?
School was virtual.
Okay, whatever. Well, first of all, like I was stuck in the crib, and then you look up, like I've been sitting in this chair for like 4 or 5 straight hours. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, then I did an interview committee last week while the Brian Flores thing was unfolding. So we got a lot to talk about today.
Let's get into it.
All right, well, you go ahead. You kicking it off today. You know what I mean?
Okay,
so what you got for us?
I'm going to kick it off. So Lamont came to me basically like, hey, let's do this co-host. Let's be a part of campus culture. And the first thing that came to my mind is something that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about typically. We have conversations within ourselves. And for me, it's like gender inequality within sports. And so me working in sports on campus, having other friends.
Wait, what do you do?
So, okay, you know, I'm a manager for the girls basketball team.
Okay. All right. That's right. You told me. All right. Go ahead. I want to make sure they knew, though.
You good. Okay.
Right.
So I'm a manager for the girls basketball team, but getting into it, like you like have a lot of friends who are interested in the same things as you. So I'm in basketball. I have friends in baseball, friends in football, PTs, etc. all over, right? And so we typically have conversations like, hey, how did your day go at practice?
Yeah.
And you just come in and you're talking to your friends. And a commonality that I've noticed a lot with a lot of my female friends and being managers or PTs, a part of the team, is just the question of feeling uncomfortable to be a female and trying to maneuver, how do I keep professionalism, but also figuring out how do I remain my friendships with these players that I had before I came into this situation. And so that was a big thing for me that I think we got to hop into.
Okay. All right. So how does that go? Like, so first of all, like, what's the interview process even like to like work for one of the teams?
Yeah. So for me, a lot of the times they do notifications through the RST program.
Okay.
So emails or whatever. And you kind of have to go look for it for some of them.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I had an email within the RST department like, hey, we're looking for managers for the women's basketball team. Send your email over, email this person. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. Go send it. For PTs, you know, you got to do a little more sit down interview process. Yeah. Going to talk to you. Hey, what's your experience? What do you do? Things of that sort. And then that brings us here because one of the interview questions typically are, you know, are you dating somebody on the team or do you have a previous relationship with these players?
And so they ask everybody this.
They ask the girls.
So, and women, they ask the women who are applying to all of the teams or just the men's teams?
Men's, yeah. Because women's, I didn't even have an interview.
Okay.
I reached out and it was like, of course.
Like who? First of all, none of your business. Like, hey, I was telling you, so I was in grad school. I got my master's in education, right? And so when you're becoming a teacher, you know, they teach you a lot about management. And one of the first things they tell you is like, don't make any rules that you can't enforce.
That's good.
So whose job is to make sure y'all not dating
nowhere, because you're not going to come to be
football players? And then are they asking the male applicants this question? Are they asking the male and female applicants who are applying for jobs with the women's teams?
No, that's the thing.
Okay, so what's the concern? Like, what's the basis of the question? Like, what's the point?
Okay, so we got these players, right? A lot of them might be getting the draft, going to the NFL, etc. And from my perspective, it's as if you're here, you know, that you're maybe a distraction for those individuals, or you may have different intentions than just coming here to do whatever professional thing you want to do.
Most of them dudes could distract themselves in an empty room.
This is true.
Okay, that's wild. So they're trying to be like the relationship police.
In my opinion.
But only for one gender.
Which is an issue too. Because what I say to you, like sometimes we never know about what people's preferences are.
Yeah.
So I can be a woman and not be interested in anybody. Or I can be asexual. Or I can like my same sex. And I can be offended because you don't even know what I'm interested in. So little things like that, I think is just, for me, managing.
It's interrelationships on the team. You know what I mean? That's just messing up dynamics. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because I think it's a lazy way to manage. And one of the reasons I think it's a lazy way to manage is because part of what we're supposed to be doing at an institution is teaching people how to be professionals, right?
And be inclusive.
Yes, right? Be inclusive, be professionals. And so I think that question just automatically assumes the worst of like.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I'll say the worst is not even, it assumes that people aren't there for something professional, right?
Exactly.
And you give somebody a chance to be professional. It's called benefit of the doubt, right?
And then imagine being, for me, it's like, okay, for my friends, imagine being a personal therapist.
Yeah.
You learning to touch, muscles, do this, do that. Do I feel comfortable? Should I not interact? Should I not laugh when I'm doing this with this person? Because they're going to think that we might have a relationship. So I feel like it's a slippery slope when you put people in a weird position.
So I told you I played here, right?
Yeah.
And so
what position? Tell them. Did you tell these people?
I didn't, because it don't matter, because I live for today. It was funny, you know, when we performed at halftime of the game, they were honoring the Big Ten championship team that I was on. I didn't go out with the team.
Why not?
Because I'm not reliving 20 years ago.
But you got to celebrate yourself.
Man, I didn't go pro. Defensive end and linebacker. I came and got this degree.
It was out.
It kept it moving. But I was laughing because you said they want to make sure that, you know, it's all non-platonic. You know, I played. It was plenty of non-platonic things going on between players and trainers. You know what I'm saying? So that's one. But two, you know, after you kind of laid it out, I said, this sounds like a Title IX violation to me.
Hey, I ain't say it.
So now I had to go do my research. So here we go.
Yeah.
All right, this is what we got.
Tell them what Title IX is.
This is what Title IX is. Title IX is a federal civil rights law in the United States of America that was passed as part of the Education Amendments Act of 1972. It prohibits sex-based, I think it might be a little antiquated on that language. I put gender question mark. It prohibits sex-based discrimination in any school or other education program that receives funding from the federal government. We're a state land grant institution. We definitely getting that federal money.
I get the Pell Grant.
Hey, shots out for the Pell Grant. Feeding babies and putting shoes on mugs. I don't know what. So further, it says Title IX requires schools to adopt and publish grievance procedures. Actually, I'm going to get to that part in a second.
Okay.
Does this sound like a Title IX violation to you?
To me, yes.
Why? Just on the back. So I want to make sure we're dotting our T's and crossing our I's.
Yeah,
dotting our I's and crossing our T's. There we go.
Like you said, there's a loophole in there to me.
Yeah.
So when you replace gender with sex, I think it should have been gender, because in all reality, the thought was to have inclusivity for women, to be comfortable, to have the same, you know, like opportunities. So for me, I think it's a Title IX violation simply because if you're not asking everybody the same question, especially within different sports. It's like, well, this sport, it's the girls' basketball team, no big deal. But then football, it's like, oh, we put money into this. So
I would have liked to think that things have changed, or at least adults wouldn't be trying to uphold stereotypes. That's what's really blowing me right now. You got fully grown people. I know the people over there.
And it's comfortable asking, though.
Yeah.
Like, you can sit in the interview and be like, all right, before we end this, you talk to somebody, like, what?
Look, training hours are from 9 to 12. We need you here an hour ahead of time. Tape the ankles.
And
that's it. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? All right. So, all right. I'm trying to think of a way they could have twisted the question. So, because I'm just like sex-based. Okay, what's the nature? First of all, sex is an act.
Exactly.
It's not a person, right? Just the way they could have twisted the question where they actually didn't break the law, right?
Right. What would you have done? Okay, so you learn your things in management, and it's like, don't put out rules you can't enforce. If you were in that position and they're like, hey, we need to make sure that we keep these relationships as platonic as possible, how would you go about it?
You set a policy. You know what I mean? Like, we do not allow interfraternizing, but understand that you can't enforce that, and you can only say it. And you can really only say it once, right? Because here's the other thing. You can't control it. It's kind of like, these mandates is going on. You can't control what people do.
Vaccine, nothing, yeah.
People, it's personal responsibility. You know what I'm saying? So you said you didn't even have an interview.
I didn't have one.
What about the physical therapists for the women's team?
We don't even have one. Actually, we have one that's like shadowing. I don't know what her process was, but she's a female also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so you want to talk solutions?
Let's talk solutions.
What do you think? Because I got a couple.
Okay. For me, I think that I just genuinely think that the question shouldn't be asked.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it should be asked, period. Like, if you're gonna hire somebody based on their merits, what they've done, because of,
well, I think when I told you got a coffee shop up the street, you're gonna interview with them. They're not gonna ask you none of that.
No.
You know what I mean? You got the bookstore around the corner. You got
They're gonna ask you that.
TAs. They don't ask them that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So, what's the difference here? And because the school puts so much money into these people. And you don't want certain issues. And for me, I think the question shouldn't be asked, but I also agree with what you said, policies. Enforce the policy. Everybody signs your contract. I sign a contract to be a manager. Make sure it's clear that everybody knows, hey, these are the requirements. These are the things you go through. But to come to me directly, that's just absurd. And I feel like it makes you feel uncomfortable because it's like, that's what you think of me? I came here saying I work with this place, that place. And it was like, okay, I can hire you, but wait, let me just check this merit.
That's strange. And like, have a conversation with the players if that's how you feel.
That's what I think.
I mean, well, I mean, listen.
But it's something you can't control, though. and it's also one of those things like, okay, if I come into this space and I'm professional and you cannot tell that there's anything outside of being platonic, it shouldn't affect you. You go home and you cool.
So none of this is okay, but I can see where it's going, right? They got the NIL money flowing through there.
Yep.
This is basically a semi-pro athletic program.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? With the amount of, those, to get into that Colonnades Club, I think they could fit like something like 1,000 people in there. They charge like $400 to get in there, right? I'm mad because I like sitting in section 102. That price then went from the start of the season was like $60. They up to like $215 to sit in section 102.
Then I ain't paying it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's big bucks around here. So I feel like, they see it as a semi-pro thing and they feel like they need to protect it. Because I think the whole institution over there is about control. You know what I'm saying? So
it's all about control. That's what the NCAA is in general, though.
So we're going to talk solutions. I'm a man of the people. I get to the nitty gritty. I'm going to get out in March. I'm going to do all that stuff. So we got some solutions. Title IX requires schools to adopt and publish grievance procedures for students to file complaints of sex discrimination, including complaints of sexual harassment or sexual violence.
Right.
But all procedures must provide for prompt and equitable resolution of sex, gender, discrimination complaints, right? That language is so antiquated,
terrible.
right?
It's terrible.
So I want to step further. If you are on this campus here at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, Danielle Morrison serves as the university's lead Title IX coordinator and can be contacted in person or by mail at 616 East Green Street, Suite 214, Champaign, Illinois, 61820, by phone at 844-616-7978. And if that's an 844 number, that must be like it's probably some kind of anonymous hotline.
Probably.
And then by email at Title9Coordinator@Illinois.edu. And I want to make this clear, right? We've had some moments of levity here, right? So I want to be clear. If you're a victim of sexual violence, you have this as an outlet, as a recourse, right? Any type of unwanted touching, any type of unwanted advances, you have this recourse. And if you're applying for a university job and somebody asks you if you're dating an athlete, you have this recourse.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's all I got on that.
That's all I got. I think it's just a conversation that's necessary.
Yeah.
And we have to teach people that if you're uncomfortable and you want change, it's something that you have to go to higher ups to speak about. Yeah. Because that next girl that comes after you that may feel uncomfortable again, you don't want her to experience the same thing that you did. Yeah. So it's really that simple. I think just about breaking curses, honestly.
Yeah. I agree. So I got a little something that's on my heart this week.
Let's do it.
Man, just give a black man a break. We work so hard. So, Brian Flores sued the NFL last week.
On the first day
of Black History Month. As of this taping, it's looking like Lovie Smith is going to be the head coach of the Houston Texans in another hire a black man rebuild. Because you can see what they're doing after Hugh Jackson laid it out, right?
Oh yeah.
This is what I think. I think when they go into rebuild mode, hey, now we can go ahead and do the Rooney Rule. That's what I think. That's how I think they do it.
The Rooney Rule is stupid.
Yeah.
So I had a podcast a while ago, and I asked this NFL agent, like, what are your thoughts on the Rooney Rule?
Yeah.
And he was like, to me, I think of the speed limit. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he was like, the speed limit is basically like, you put it there. You see on the highway it says 70. Some people going to go under. Some people are going to do the speed limit. But majority of people are going to go above. You're not really policing it all the time. You know, how many times is it going to be a state trooper out there? And so basically you just do certain things just to have it right there.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's no way you can always enforce it. Every single person, you can't stop.
Flores' story is interesting because to me it's the epitome. It's the walking. This is what Black in America is, right? We get served this plate of bullshit, and then they say make chicken salad out of that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he did. He delivered them 2 winning seasons when they were supposed to be rebuilding, and then you reward the man by firing him. You know what I'm saying? Like.
And then on top of that, the Bill Belichick messages. Did you see them?
Yeah, Belichick tweaking, man.
He got caught up.
Did you see the memes about how you go change his phone to Black Brian and White Brian? So I was on a hiring committee last week where all this was unfolding.
Okay.
And we actually had, I can't say too much of the details, but we had a very robust discussion.
About this specific topic?
No, about making sure we weren't falling into bias traps, right? And so it kind of made me feel good because I'm familiar with hiring practices. You know, it goes by department. My department does it right. I can't say what other people's departments do. You know what I'm saying? But with that as the backdrop, it just was weighing heavy on my heart because I'm not here to deny anybody anything, right? So now I'm like, because the minority candidate is really qualified, and so is the white candidate, right? And so these are all great people, and it's like, man, I'm glad it's a committee and not one person, there to make the decision. So, look, I'll say this. He might have sacrificed his job and his career a la Colin Kaepernick, but I don't think this is the last we'll hear of him, and I think it's forcing people to have to try to somewhat be honest. They're saying they think Lovey got this job directly as a result of this. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Okay, so I have a question to follow that up, right? You play football. What is because 70% of players are African American, and majority of the head coaches, ownership, etc., are white. As a player, if you were speaking to people within these organizations, what is the importance of having somebody in leadership who looks like you in those certain positions?
It lets you know that buy-in. Every coach needs buy-in, right?
Okay.
If I've been through what you've been through or been through similar circumstances, it's easier for me to get you to buy in because you know what I'm saying? Because you might have an idea that I know what it might be like for you. You know what I'm saying?
Even if you don't even know if I do.
Right.
It just makes me feel more comfortable.
Can I tell you what makes me uncomfortable when I think about coaches? Dabo Swinney. He always wants to jump on this soapbox like, I've been through what you've been through because we were poor. Not understanding that white skin is the ultimate pass. It's the ultimate passport. It's the ultimate currency. Bro, being white and being poor is better than being black and being poor in this country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're going to get a chance. You're going to get the benefit of the doubt where I got to fight for my chance and fight to be proven. So I think about it like that in the sense of like, just white coaches just have to understand that being black is something different. You can't relate. You can't gritty your way into that. You can't rap your way into that.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You can sympathize.
Yeah.
You can educate. You can try to understand. And when you get to the point where you're as upset as me about something that's inequitable, that's when you can get it. I don't want you to understand though. You should. This is not even something you should want to understand, in my opinion, though. And I think that's the difference. And
that's why Urban Meyer is no longer coaching in the NFL. And shame on him for putting up that picture of Trayvon as a reason to tell players not to wear hoodies. That's nastiness. All right, I'm about ready to get out of here. I got one more segment.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so these are the things we decided not to talk about, which is interesting because they all had an Illinois connection. So, all right, Illinois Crown Law. You know about this?
I don't.
Okay, so
tell me more. It has something to do with
the
hair?
As of 2022,
okay,
you cannot discriminate against somebody for any reason, education, employment, anything because of their hair. You can't tell them what to do with their hair. You can't tell them what to wear on their head.
How can you enforce this? You can tell them not what to do, but how are you going to enforce discrimination with hiring? That's
a great question. So one of the reasons we're not going to get too much more into it, because I do want everybody to go out there, catch the Campus Culture short episode where I interviewed Victor Figueroa. It's called Don't Touch My Hair. You learn more about that. You know what I'm saying? We'll probably get into it in future episodes. A few good things from Saba of Pivot Gang dropped. Shouts out to Chicago.
I didn't watch watch it yet.
You
I
ain't
didn't
listen
listen.
yet?
I didn't listen yet. Ooh.
Listen, a lot of 2 Chainz came out. I love 2 Chainz. I ain't listened to 2 Chainz album yet. It's too much to digest. I get in my music digestion periods, and now ain't one of them. I ain't listened to the new Weeknd. I ain't listened to Gunna.
You gotta listen to that Gunna. You gotta listen to Gunna.
Well, I mean, I heard Push and P, but you know what I'm saying?
No, it's a lot more you gotta listen to. Gunna's good, and then you got Johnny P.
Okay.
Caddy.
Oh, I can
with the code.
Shots out. I got a playlist on Spotify called TheMenu.
Okay.
Johnny P's Caddy is on there. I think it's like in the top 10. I have heard it. Cause what did I hear today? I heard it's a song. Oh shoot, I might have to pull this up. So Fivio Foreign got a joint with.
What's it called?
Oh, it didn't add this up to the bottom. Oh. It's Fivio Foreign. Oh, my thing didn't update. It might be on my phone. Hold up. Because this song was banging. And the young lady was like new, though. Yeah. I don't have 22 texts.
You got to put
it ain't
me
that
on.
say, no, it's that group messages, man. They need to chill out with that. So it's called Brag. It's by a young lady named Laya, but Fivio Foreign's on it. That's the joint. It's the joint. I seen it on like an Instagram commercial.
I need to go tune into the menu then.
Yeah. Tune into the menu. Get you some good music in your life. And lastly, on things we did not talk about, we decided not to talk about, Kanye publicly parenting.
Not a mess.
I'm not touching
That's
that.
all I gotta
say. Hey, look, I appreciate you. First episode in the books. I'd like to thank Jasmine Kellogg and the good folks here at the Bruce D. Nesbitt African American Culture Center for hosting us. Thank you to our videographer, Boots Howard, and our production staff, John Johnson. Thank you to my new co-host, our new co-host for Campus Culture, Aniyha Jones. And thank you for joining us on this episode of Campus Culture.
Thank y'all.